So thanks to Seth. This is awesome. This is my first time here, actually. And I wanted to tell everybody about Eventful a little bit, but really kind of let you know about something that we did in December that I thought was really cool and applies to, I think, a lot of people in the music biz. And what that is we teamed with State Farm and Mayor Hawthorne, who's a performer in LA. He's a DJ and a performer, and we're able to do a couple of cool things. So first, I guess, just to tell you about Eventful. If you don't know us, we're eventful.com. It's the #1 discovery destination for events worldwide, and what that means is it's kind of like the Google of events. So whenever an event goes on the web, whether that's a tour announced by a major band or even smaller bands, if that's movies, we do a lot with movies, even down to like your local farmer's market, we aggregate the web and dump it all onto eventful.com for you to then find it really easily based on your location. So if I live in New York and I like music and I like movies and I like certain kinds of movies and music, I fill all that out in my profile on eventful.com and we send you recommendations. That's kind of the gist of it. And then what we're constantly doing is trying to send information that's applicable to each person. So if you like U2, I want to send you things about U2 and similar bands, and not about things that you don't like. So we have an entire recommendation engine that kind of backs all that up. And what it lets us do is a lot of unique things where I think, and Seth was talking about this at the beginning, a bit of the problem in the music tech space is you can have really great ideas, you can have a lot of fun with it, but can you find the dollars to make it all make sense? And so one of the things that we've really tried to do is build up our database of people, of members, and then do unique ways to connect those members to brands or to connect them with artists and kind of down the line. So with that quick backstory, we'll talk about a free night of music at the Roxy. And for anyone who's not familiar with LA, the Roxy is probably similar to like a Hammerstein ballroom here in New York, about that size, maybe a little smaller, but about that size. And if you were from LA, it's definitely a major venue. People dream of playing the Roxy, essentially. And so we have worked with State Farm before, and essentially what they try to do is find people that would be interested in insurance out of our users. And so one of the things they were thinking was, is there a way to really be relevant to your users and then also gain those registrations to try to talk to people as a brand? And so what we came up with was a demanded competition. And what demanded is if you have a tour, let's say, and you wanted to decide where you were going to go on tour, you could put out a competition asking all the cities, let's say, in our world, who would be interested in having a performer come there. And people will demand that you come to their specific city. So we've done this with a number of different bands before. We've done it with political campaigns like the last Obama campaign, and people will actually go to that city based on the number of people that demand. So what we did here was taking the Roxy Theater, and we said, people of LA, demand that your favorite band performs to open for Mayor Hawthorne, who we're going to put on a free event at the Roxy. And we send out messaging to all of our people in LA, and it's all sponsored by State Farm. And essentially what we're looking to do is to drive up attention and to drive people to vote to have their favorite bands. And so 2 bands won. Exit Elsewhere was the name of one of them, and Yoshi, and they were local bands that now got to open at the Roxy, which we also, through tapping our database of users, filled. And it was kind of a really cool experience where you had these bands that may never have been able to play a major venue before, playing this major venue. You had State Farm really happy because there was a lot of interest, in State Farm, they were getting exposure and they were getting different people. And you had a major performer, Mayor Hawthorne, at the Roxy. And so it kind of ended up as everybody was really happy with what happened. And we were able to take who we are Eventful, what we do, and connect it with a brand to have everybody kind of make money, and yet at the same time give the exposure in the music space that normally wouldn't be there. So that's kind of the story. These are just kind of pictures of it. The Roxy liked it so much that they ended up helping us promote it, even though we didn't need it. And so now I think kind of for us, we're looking to do that on a bigger scale or a smaller scale. So are there bands that are out there that we could help spread the word on? Let's do that. Or are there large sponsors who would want to take over Madison Square Garden if we could rise up enough interest? And we're kind of looking to have both of those conversations. So I think a lot of that may cross over with you guys or different things that everybody here does. And we're very open to ideas, thoughts, comments, questions, and all that good stuff. So that's kind of my story, and definitely open up to questions. Yeah.
Just how many demands did each of the top two bands get in that contest?
Yeah, it was over 1,000. In like the LA region, you're probably looking at up to 1 million people, depending on where you target. And so we didn't do the entire region, but it was like specifically where we knew there were popular bands. And I know that there was probably about 50 that had registered. Many of them got like a few hundred different votes, but it was in the thousands for those that won. Yeah.
If you know it all, what kind of technology stack do you guys use to run your site and your mobile presence and all that?
I don't know specifically, but I do know that a lot of it's built in-house. And so we have pretty much created the entire back-end system so that we also control it. Because there's a ton of data, there's a ton of information constantly coming in, and we can literally track a user's movements across the site when they're logged in. So we have all that data, but at the same time we're very, I guess, careful with it, and that's why when we connect people with these kinds of events, we try to make it as applicable to what they would be interested in and what they're doing as possible. For specifics though, I can definitely, let's connect and I can find out more. Yeah.
Hey, so is your core product the email that goes out to the users, or do you actually want them going to your site and interacting on the site?
Well, I guess it's a couple of things. We typically split our concept in two. We have the commercial site, which is entirely about the events, and all we care about there is the user's experience on site. We want them to be happy with what they're getting. And then from, I guess, how we advertise that side, it's going to be emails, which can be targeted based on the user's information, or it can be on site. And typically we'll work with brands to combine multiple elements. So it's the exposure directly to a person's inbox or directly to their interests, but it's also on site too. You can kind of take over the presence. All right, well, thank you guys so much.
All right.